TimeRider, of TimeRider's wee little cars, has invited the community to join him in celebrating the anniversary of his channel with a tow truck build. For my build, I've selected the Hot Wheels Rig Wrecker casting that you see there. It's a little play-worn. This casting was produced from 1983 to 2003, so obviously this is a little old. Now, the theme for this build is based upon a show I've loved for years. I don't have Netflix anymore, but when I had Netflix, I loved this show. And it was called Highway Thru Hell. And the series followed the operations of Jamie Davis and his heavy vehicle rescue operation. And his rigs were beautiful. They maintained them really well. The coloring reminded me of the coloring on the rigs for the company that my dad worked for back when he worked when I was a kid. I've wanted to do one of these for a while, and I actually plan on doing another Jamie Davis Company build on a different kind of casting in the future. But for now, I'm going to do a smaller one. So you go through the usual, strip the paint, tap it for the screws, get it all stripped down and ready to go. The casting did need to be cleaned up a little bit. But this casting had a metal body, a plastic base. The tow hook section that popped off of there is kind of a rubberized plastic. It's not hard. It's a flexible kind of plastic. The glass, it's in good condition. The way it pops out of there is it actually comes out the front. And I had forgotten that when I go back to reassemble it. But that'll be coming later. There's a lot of detail, as you can see in the bed. Even though I was going to keep portions of that section chrome, I thought I would just re-chrome them and strip the rest of that portion down to bare plastic. So for that, I throw it in Super Clean that you're going to see. I've thrown some Super Clean in this mason jar, and you reuse the heck out of it. It's like the same approach I use for Citrus Strip and IPA. I use it for Super Clean. I like throwing wires through these things when I throw them in there because it makes it so much easier to fish them back out. The wheels, the timing couldn't have been better on these wheels. Christian over at 1st and 64th Customs designed these wheels, and he made them available for free to his Patreon members, which I happen to be one. Christian does fantastic work, and I support that. I want to show my support for that. So there they are after I've chromed them. And he had separate designs for the front wheels of a truck and the back wheels. And I swear they totally are perfect. I couldn't have been happier with those wheels. It's a fantastic design. Really reminds me of riding around with my dad in his truck. So cleaned up the base a little bit, and then I chromed the sections I wanted to keep chrome. The fuel tanks, the front bumper, the steps on the side. Not a lot of that base I chrome. But one thing that anybody familiar with the Highway Thru Hell series would know that Jamie Davis really, his rigs look good, and there's chrome. They aren't, these rigs aren't abused. They're definitely well maintained, and they show it. And he has his expectations for those rigs as well. So this will not be a weathered rig because his rigs are never weathered. They may go through hell, but they're cleaned up again pretty quickly. So there's all I did as far as chroming that base section. And then for the boom arm and for that portion, I really wish it wasn't this rubberized plastic. Those of you who have worked with it know it's just a pain in the butt to clean up, to paint. It's easier if it's a hard plastic. It's not like you can sand it. I mean, you can, like you see there, I give it a try, and I use the emery board on it and stuff. But bottom line is, it never turns out well. I suppose I could have taken a match to it and maybe made it a little smoother. As far as the wheels, like I said, Christian designed the wheels and did truly a fabulous job on it. They're designed for real rider tires, but I bought a batch of just monoblock tires, not wheels, but just the rubber tire section, so I could use them on prints I've done. And they fit perfectly on these wheels. So again, the timing couldn't have worked out any better on Christian making these available. I haven't had these monoblock tires for all that long. It's one of those things where it just happened to work out really well on the timing. And so here you see how I just basically use pins, crimp the ends of the pins, straight pins, and there you have the wheels. I was really happy with the look of those wheels. I did use the resin pin, the Bondic resin pin, to hold those axles in place. And again, they're in basically the channels that the original Hot Wheels axles were in. So in a way, this was an unnecessary step because I didn't cut anything out of the frame or the base that really would have prevented them from just operating without the resin. But what the heck. I did custom print decals for this, and Jamie Davis has a script logo and then he has a block logo. I went with the block logo, and I just designed these myself. They're nothing fancy. I designed some stripes for the side, and I don't take you through application of all of the decals. They're white toner decals that I printed on my HP LaserJet, and printed stripes for the sides and around the front, a stripe for across the top of the boom arm, and then I printed Jamie Davis's name, I printed a vehicle number, phone number, and services description. And you'll see all of that here once I have all of the decals on. But I don't recall the number of decals. I believe it's somewhere in the number of about 10 decals that I put on this. Probably pretty quickly I could think of it, since there's 2 on the door, since there's also a regulation number or permit number kind of thing. Actually, it's not on there at that point, but I added that. So there's like 3 decals on the cab on each side and another 3 in the back. There's probably like 12 decals, 13 actually with the boom arm. The glass polished up pretty well, but then you bust out the gauzy and all is right with the world. Gauzy, 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 for those of you playing the gauzy game. I know I haven't been giving you enough chances to take your shots, but here's another one. Dip it in the gauzy gauzy, swirled it around a little bit for luck. I basically swirl it around sometimes just to make sure there aren't any bubbles or anything on the glass. It may be kind of goofy, but this thing looks like it has a back window, and you may see me holding it by that because that isn't really a back window. It's just, it helps hold the windshield glass in place. There is only the front window that shows. So that's why you see me holding it that way. As far as this section of the interior, I did not dechrome this. I stuck with the original Hot Wheels chrome, and then I just added a bunch of details on top of that. Once I was finished with all of the detailing, I added some I grayed out the interior. I believe that's dark gold gray Vallejo paint. I believe that's Army Painter paint that I'm applying with a toothpick there for the gauges. I go over the steering wheel with, I believe it was the Sharpie pen we may see here in a second, or I may have done it with a toothpick, I don't recall. I do go over the seats with Nuln oil as well. And then I kept the chrome for the stacks, and then on the front grill, I end up using Nuln Oil on that as well to give it a little more detail, because the original grill is just all chrome, and that's very unrealistic. So once I finished detailing that interior, I hit it with a really light coat of clear gloss. That's difficult to say. I did some detailing on the base with the Sharpie. Again, there wasn't a lot down there to detail, but I thought I'd go ahead and pick out those items. And the Sharpie's perfect for this. There's the Vallejo Game Color paints again. The silver works out really well. And they have a variety of silvers. I believe this is just the standard silver. There is a chainmail, and I believe I have, even just in the little limited quantity I believe I have 3 different silvers of theirs. I wanted to paint the inside of the bed under the tow hook with that silver, and then I picked out some details in there as well, as you can see. And so there you see I didn't show all the detailing of the tow hook, but there was a lot there I was able to pick out. The glass, you're going to see a jump in the film there in the sequence, because I forgot that dropped in through the front. And then I remembered. And all was right with the world. Up till then, I couldn't figure out what the heck was wrong. I knew it came out of this thing somehow, and I had totally forgotten that it came out through the front instead of the typical just, through the bottom. The tow hook, again, I picked out all of those details with Army Painter and Vallejo paints. And those were all hand brushed. I did use Tamiya Clear Blue for the blue center light on the roof that you see there. But it was just a matter of picking out all the little details that I wanted to. I painted the end of the tow hook, the section of that arm that would extend from the main arm. I painted that yellow, and I painted a portion of the back bumper yellow, again to match some of Jamie Davis's equipment. He doesn't have this exact tow truck naturally, but I tried to follow some of the ways his were painted in creating this one. And I'm pretty happy with the results here. So I'd like to take a moment right now to thank TimeRider again for hosting this invitational, and congratulate him on the years he's been entertaining the community with his builds and providing inspiration to all of us. And I'm proud to call him friend. Thanks, Lee. And here's where I started. And here's where I ended up. I hope y'all like this build. It was a kick. I wasn't sure how this was going to go, to be honest with you. I hoped for the best, and I'm really happy with the results. It's actually better than I thought it was going to be. The nice thing is, when there's details that you can pick out of something like this, it really helps the build. And this casting just had a lot of detail that they chose to hide. And, even at that, you can't really tell some of the interior sections that I've painted. You might catch some of the dash right here on the turn. But you really have to examine that pretty closely to see that. But thanks for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please check out all of the other builds. There's quite a few people doing the tow trucks in celebration of Lee's anniversary. Definitely check out Lee's too. This is, I believe, the 4th tow truck he's doing. So this is a lot of fun. I've been meaning to do a tow truck. I did one for a Tonka build a little while back. And here's some glamour shots coming up. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters for all of their help and keeping these videos going. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.